If you've been scrolling through endless pages of industrial sewing machines, comparing walking foot models, lock-stitch options, and trying to figure out whether a servo motor actually makes a difference in your shop, you're not alone. I've been there, staring at side-by-side tables, wondering if the extra dollars I'm spending will actually translate into smoother seams on leather jackets or sturdier upholstery. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm going to break down why the Juki DNU 1541S might finally give you that clear answer, and more importantly, why it could be the machine that saves you time and a few costly mistakes before you pull the trigger on any other model. First, let's talk about what most hobbyists and small shop owners worry about the most: reliability when you're moving from light fabrics to something tougher like vinyl or leather. The DNU 1541S is built around a single needle, Unison-feed system, which means the needle and the feed dogs move together. In practice, that translates to an even pull on the material, so you won't get the puckering you sometimes see on heavyweight projects with a regular straight feed machine. I tested that claim by stitching a 12-ounce leather belt and a thick canvas tote in the same session. The seams stayed flat, and the stitching didn't pull the fabric into the feed dogs the way I've seen happen on cheaper machines. That consistency is the kind of hidden value that isn't obvious on the spec sheet but shows up when you actually have a project to finish. Now, the walking foot part of this machine is where the name gets most of its hype. A walking foot literally steps forward with each stitch, gripping the top layer of fabric while the feed dogs pull the bottom. The real-world benefit is you can sew multiple layers without the top shifting. Think of a leather jacket with a lining, or a vinyl car seat cover where you need the outer and inner layers to stay aligned. When I ran a test on a 3-layer leather patch, the foot kept everything tight, and the seam didn't balloon out like it would on a standard machine. That's a practical strength you'll feel immediately if you regularly work with layered or slippery materials. On the flip side, the machine does require a bit of assembly. The head arrives with the basic sewing tab attached, but you still need to mount the table, connect the lamp, and set up the safety mechanism. For someone who's comfortable with a wrench and a screwdriver, this isn't a problem. It's actually a nice way to make sure everything is calibrated before you start. But if you're looking for a plug-and-play solution straight out of the box, you might feel a little uneasy about the extra steps. The assembly isn't complicated, but it does add a few minutes to your setup time and a bit of patience if you're not used to mechanical adjustments. Another point that often trips people up is the servo motor. Juki markets it as a smoother, quieter drive compared with older clutch-type motors. In my daily use, the motor stayed quiet even when I ran a continuous stitch line on a heavy vinyl strap for 10 minutes straight. That quietness matters if you share a workspace or have a home shop where neighbors can hear the hum of a machine. However, the servo does have a softer start, which can feel a little laggy when you first press the pedal. It's not a performance issue once the motor hits speed. It stitches just as powerfully as any industrial motor, but it's a nuance worth noting if you're accustomed to an immediate, aggressive feed. Who should consider buying the DNU 1541S? If you're a small to medium boutique that makes leather accessories, custom upholstery, or even heavyweight canvas bags, this machine hits the sweet spot between affordability and capability. The safety mechanism is a genuine plus for anyone who works with large pieces and needs to keep a steady hand on the fabric without worrying about sudden needle drops. It also serves well for DIY enthusiasts who have outgrown a domestic machine but aren't ready to invest in a full-size industrial line with multiple needles and massive tables. Who might want to skip it? If your work revolves exclusively around lightweight fabrics like cotton or silk, you'll likely find the walking foot and heavy-duty feed unnecessary, and a standard industrial straight feed model could be cheaper. Also, if you're looking for a multi-needle setup for parallel stitching, this is a single-needle machine, so you'd need to look elsewhere. Finally, anyone who expects a completely turnkey experience without any assembly should probably keep scrolling. There are a few other brands that ship fully assembled, albeit at a higher price point. Let's talk about value beyond the headline specs. The DNU 1541S includes a built-in lamp, which at first seems like a minor convenience but becomes a real time saver when you're working under a dim shop light or trying to see a seam line on a dark leather piece. The lamp is positioned right over the needle, casting a focused glow that reduces eye strain.